ARM has failed to hold internal levels of support, dismantling the possibility of a hyper bullish scenario. Does this mean that a top is in? Does this mean that the AI bubble has burst? Possibly, but I actually believe there to be a rather preferable chance that we would see the trend continue, but the top would come much sooner than anticipated. So by the end of this video, you will understand exactly the pattern that I'm tracking for this stock, the exact levels of support that need to hold for it to even be able to extend directly higher, as well as the relevant levels of resistance it needs to break to provide an initial confirmation that a bottom would indeed be in. Welcome to the trade setup. So in the case of ARM, I am tracking a larger impulse to be in development here. Right now, I believe we would still be looking for extensions within this wave 3. Is it possible for the wave 3 to have a top in? It might be able to. I honestly do not really like that interpretation. I believe if we fail the internal levels of support, where if we cannot get the extension, we are at a high risk that the larger structure will not be holding either, that this stock, and actually many others across the sector, could see a much more severe correction. So I am tracking an impulse within this move up where I'm no longer looking for this to develop a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. No, I'm not looking for this to be the wave 3 any longer. I consider that the wave 3 would have a top in. I consider that we are only looking at one additional high to be necessary before a top could be in within the entire wave 3. Now, there is a sidestep scenario where a wave 3 extension would still remain a possibility. It would remain technically possible to even track a 1, 2 here, to even track the wave 3 to have built something like a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, in which case we could see a couple of additional extensions, 1 or 2 additional extensions, even within the wave 3 itself. But given the proportions that we already have within this correction, there is a good chance that this wouldn't really be the case. And this also fits quite nicely with the broader sector expectations that I have, given the structures that I see on some of the other stocks, which are also dangerously close to forming a top. Fortunately, most of them would still expect one more high, but the risk would still be present. Now, one thing I want to make clear in the larger time frame. Even if we follow through within this structure, even if the AI bubble bursts, we get a major crash, it would not be unreasonable to still look for this trend to continue. If you understand Elliott Wave, you understand that this would be a wave 3 within a larger 5-wave pattern. We would be looking for this to have been a 1, 2, 3, but it would be followed up with a correction in wave 4, and then a 5th wave to still take it higher afterwards. Would this correction take much longer than it has taken to complete the correction within the internal structure? Certainly. I am looking at this wave 2 to have taken about 4 months to complete. Easily, we can expect the wave 4 to take at the very least as long as that, and potentially even longer. Now, within this structure, I am looking for continuation to higher prices in the wave 5 against $218. As long as we do not get a sustained break below this level of support, we can favor continuation to higher prices. So far, this wave 4 would have pushed perfectly into the 38.2% retracement, which also happens to be the ideal target for the wave 4, although we don't have any strong confirmation that a bottom is indeed in. If we also zoom in within this structure, we can notice it would have been a nice addition to get the daily candle on Friday close above the red candle we got on Thursday. That would have been a bullish engulfing candle. It didn't happen. We don't have that additional confirmation, but this is what we have at hand. And I will show you in a moment, but I can already tell you that there is still a decent amount of risk. We would see one additional low before the structure would actually be complete. Now, let's understand the correction. I do not really care the exact count that we have within this pattern. I do see it possible to track this as an ABC, exactly as I have shared here. I do see it possible for the wave 3 to have topped here and then have an internal ABC pattern. I do not really care which of these scenarios ends up following through, and in the end, I want to see a full count within the smaller time frame structure, and I want to see a reversal pattern. I want to see the levels of resistance broken. That is what needs to happen to provide a better opportunity for the reversal. Now, going into the internal structure, I could be tracking, as I was saying, this as a wave C. It would imply that the structure would be a 5-wave pattern. I have no issue with tracking this scenario. Do I prefer it? Probably not, as within this last decline, within this latest extension, it might simply work out better to track this either as an A, B, C from the top, where the wave 3 would have topped here, or a larger WXY pattern, as within the extension, the wave 5 doesn't get too often to the point where it reaches the 78.6% extension of the wave 1 through 3. Can it happen? Certainly, but that is usually reserved for the cases where we are tracking an extended wave 3, usually not within the wave 5 of the wave C. That would rather push me to tracking an ABC structure where I'm still tracking a 5-wave pattern developed within this internal structure. Yes, fortunately, I can track the same pattern within the smaller time frame regardless. Now, one thing to get out of the way, you may be wondering, why am I not considering the wave B to have topped here? And technically that would be a possibility, but it so happens that this move down cannot be tracked as a 5-wave pattern. I would have to track an ABC structure, which is all fine, but then the entire wave C would need to develop as an ending diagonal, and I find that just a little bit unlikely, as within this structure, an impulse fits better. Is this a deal breaker? No, I could really track it as a 3-wave pattern, in which case an ending diagonal would be a possibility for this yellow wave C, but we are not there yet. We still have internal levels of resistance to consider, but once that is done, I will certainly be sharing the levels of resistance to watch for a potential larger ending diagonal in the case of this structure. So let's move into the smaller time frame. Let's understand exactly the pattern that I see in this development and why I believe one additional low is still a decently high likelihood. So, as I was saying earlier, this even applies to other stocks within the sector. Many of them actually have an additional 1-2 that would not have a place within the entire structure down, within the 5-wave pattern down. So this would be a 1-2. It would be an extremely small wave 1, which is not typically the case when we get such an extended wave 3. It would usually be slightly similar in proportions, doesn't have to be, but it makes it a bit less likely. Then the wave 3 down I would consider would be here. The wave 4 would now be developing potentially, or could have really even topped, and the wave 5 would be expected to potentially take us into new lows. I say potentially because truncations are not out of the question here. Now, within this wave 3, we have a wave 1 down here, a wave 2 up, a wave 3 down, a wave 4 up, and you may be inclined to believe in some cases for this to have been a series of 4 or 5 patterns. Well, I believe this to have been just the wave 5 of the larger wave 3. So the issue with this structure really is that we have either too few waves 5 or too many. I could consider this to have been a series of 4 or 5 patterns, but then I would only have an internal 1-2 here. This would match the first move down. I would have this additional 1-2 here. This would match this wave 5, but we got an additional low. We have no wave 1 to match this wave 5. So the pattern is not exactly ideal. It could be complete, we cannot know with certainty, especially given the small time frame, but we have to look for the next levels of resistance, and those would extend up to the 50% retracement of the entire wave 3, which would enable us to look up to $286. As long as we do not get a sustained break above these levels, we still need to consider a decently good chance that we would see an extension within the yellow wave 5. Truncations are a possibility, in which case the wave 5 doesn't need to form a lower low, but it would be a reset of the white wave 4. So right now, these are the most relevant levels to see broken. Right now the threat of pushing lower is honestly quite high. Within the rally that has formed from yesterday's lows, we are looking only at 3 waves to have taken place. This is a strong implication that it would be an ABC structure. This is certainly not a 1, 2, 3, but rather a potential top for the yellow wave 4. We would then expect to build a 5-wave pattern within this yellow wave 5, which could mark the bottom of the entire white wave 4, or could be the beginning of a larger correction, a larger relief rally in a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. In the end, we cannot predict with certainty when a bottom will be in. We will need confirmations, and confirmations come from either building an initial 5-wave move to the upside, a potential initial wave 1, or breaking levels of resistance. Without that, the threat that we continue to lower prices is still decently high. This latest decline, where we can fit an additional 4th and a 5th, an additional low, applies to other stocks within the sector, which only amplifies the risk. I see a similar pattern in the case of Micron, SanDisk, AMD, MaxLinear, and I'm certain many others. But for now, you have all the expectations that we can extract from the currently available data. So naturally, we will stop here, but if you want even more from me, you can check out the Patreon. But for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and if you enjoyed the content and want to support it directly, check out the channel membership, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.